Hi, Libra. Welcome to Pandora Astrology's monthly horoscope for August of 2022. We are the astrologers of Pandora Astrology. I'm Jamie Kell-Miller. I'm in Berkeley, California.
I'm Julia Mijas in San Francisco, California.
Well, Libra, if this is your sun sign, then your annual mop-up period is about to begin. That's the last 30 days before your birthday, and it's the most powerful time to make changes and get ready for your new year. Getting a birthday reading now positions you for that new year. You'll find a link to help you do that in the text that comes with this video. Well, Juno continues to travel along through the sign of Pisces right here. We're in this extended relationship retrospection period right here. And it's going to be going on until October. And so I only want to mention it because it's going on and you might be feeling it, especially because Libra. And we said a lot more about it in July's horoscope, so you might want to check that out. But there is definitely, pretty much all of us are involved in this, looking back and looking into our relationships and asking ourselves, how do they align with my spiritual value system? And so if you want to know more about that, check your July horoscope and also check our July video about Juno retrograde. The other thing I want to tell you about before turning this over to Julia is that Uranus is going to go retrograde on or around August 24. And there it is, the little red RX symbol that means retrograde. Uranus is a bit of a chaotic character and tends to bring in new, sometimes kind of crazy ideas from left field, and they can lead to chaos or a paradigm shift. And really that's up to you how it plays out in your life. But I wanted to let you know that around August 24th, if you're involved in a process of innovation or making change in your life this year, then this may well be a pivotal day for you. Hey, Julia, what is up with Mercury and Venus and Mars this month for the Libras?
Well, lots of stuff going on, Libra, as per usual. Mercury, the planet of communication and mentation. So he represents your mind, he represents your ability to think and communicate with others. He starts the month in your 11th house, but he's only there for just a couple of days. By the 3rd or the 4th, depending on your time zone, where in the world you are, but fairly early in the month, he's going to be moving in your 12th. So you're still riding at the beginning of the month, Mercury in the 11th, which is a social time in people's lives where the 11th house represents your friends, your social networks, any groups you're a part of, where you're really going to be doing your best thinking in a group context. Maybe you're getting a lot of calls and texts from friends during that time period. But by the 3rd or 4th, when Mercury moves into that 12th house, it's a big shift where you are going to be keeping your thoughts more to yourself. The 12th house is a very isolated place. So you might not be just kind of wanting to share what's going on inside you with other people as much. Now, the 12th house is the house of the subconscious. It's a very consciousness expansive sort of house. So if you do things like meditating, if you do any other consciousness expanding activity, whatever, that could be many different things. It could be kind of an interesting time period. And the 12th house has a lot to do with our dreams too. So you could be having a lot of vivid ideas and things happening in your dreams during this period as well. Then Venus, the planet of relationships, she's very dear to you, Libra. She's your sign. She begins the month in the 10th house of career. And with Venus in the 10th, wonderful time for getting along well with the people you work with. Single Libras out there might even get a crush on somebody they meet through work, like a customer, a client, a coworker, for example. The 10th house can be our authority figures. So really good time to get along well with parents, teachers, and bosses. And if you are in a relationship, the 10th house is a really public place. So it might be that you're trying to make your relationship more public in some way. Like this could be a placement for inviting your honey to a work function. So like everyone gets to see your relationship more. Or if you just started dating someone, maybe now announcing to people like we're a couple, we're together. Then by August 11th, Venus is going to enter your 11th house. And Venus in the 11th, and I mentioned the 11th because Mercury starts off a little bit in there, is a house of friends. It's a house of groups. Anytime you find yourself among a constellation of people, whether that's a gamer circle, a union, a club, a society, this is the place that happens. And Venus in the 11th can be a wonderful time for just really, really having a great time with your friends or any groups that you're a part of too. Maybe getting some favors and some harmony, other people benefiting you through the group, or a friend doing a favor for you in some way. So if you've had any issues with your friends in the past, let's say a few months, this could be a really good time to smooth them over when Venus goes in your 11th. And then I always like to say a few things about Mars. Mars is a little bit more tricky than the other planets. He's known as a malefic, so his energy can be a little bit challenging at times, but there are always constructive and helpful ways to use malefics too. So Mars starts the month in your 8th house. He's going to be there until August 20th. And the 8th house, it's a financial house. It's a house of research. It's a house of social taboos. It's a little bit of a dark and hidden place as well in the chart. So with Mars in the 8th house, there can be this real drive to, your Mars can have a lot to do with our ego. So there could be sort of a lot of ego coming up in money matters in your life, maybe frustrations, maybe not seeing eye to eye with other people. Might not be the best time to ask for a loan either with Mars in the 8th house. If you do need to do anything with, quote, other people's money, that includes loans, investments, all those inheritances, joint credit cards. It could be a little bit of a frustrating time around that. Now, wherever we have Mars, we can feel very driven. So in the 8th house, you can be driven a little bit more to the dark side of life. You could be drawn a little bit more to taboos than usual, whether that's watching a lot of murder mysteries on TV or exploring taboos in the bedroom as well. Mars can be kind of a sexual planet. This can be a wonderful time for doing a lot of research, for getting to the bottom of something. The 8th house is about digging down and finding something deep below the surface. So a wonderful time to really just throw yourself into any kind of research and investigation. Then on August 20th, when Mars goes into the 9th house, this is the house of law. This is the house of travel. This is the house of education. And with Mars in the 9th, you're not going to want to just sit down in one place and have to kind of deal with your responsibilities and duties, because you're just going to want to explore, have adventures, get out there and go travel. So hopefully that's available to you at this time, because if you do have to kind of stay stuck in your job, it can be a little bit of a frustrating time. And if you're in school, this can also be a time where maybe you're not seeing eye to eye with teachers or other people in your educational environment. Mars in the 9th, if you've been dealing with some legal problems, you might not be in a very compromising and settling mood either. You might just want to keep kind of fighting them through. But, I would recommend anyone with Mars in the 9th to try to find, even if you can't physically move somewhere, a way to expand yourself in some way. Maybe learn something new, really throw yourself into it. And you can always explore through your intellectual horizons if the physical ones aren't available to you.
Mm-hmm. Well, I want to take us back to the 11th of August, which is where the full moon is. This particular moon lands in Aquarius opposite a sun in Leo here in the 11th house, which is Aquarius's house, and the 5th house, which is Leo's house. So layers of complexity here, and it is a very complex moon anyway because of the influence of Uranus over here squaring it and Saturn over here conjuncting it. So this one we're calling crossroads of change, to consolidate or innovate. Now, with any planet in astrology, it's always possible to express it in a positive way or a negative way. Saturn, expressed negatively, can be like limiting, constricting, restricting, authoritarian, whereas in a positive way, it can be authoritative, it can be respectable, it can have a lot of integrity, and it can build. Now, Uranus similarly has its positive and its negative side. On the positive side, it can have breakthroughs, it can have innovation, it can drive us to the cutting edge of thought. On its negative side, it can bring chaos and disruption. So these two are slugging it out, and the moon is really feeling it. And some of where this lands for you is in the fifth house, which is the house of fun, pleasure, and play. This is a house of relaxation, games, hobbies, entertainment. And so with this moon here, I just don't know that I would plan a vacation right around this moon if I were you, because you might find that it's not as relaxing as you'd hoped. So yeah, there might be disruptions. There might be problems with structures coming down, by which I mean like plans, schedules, goals, and things might not hold together so well during this moon. So the fact that it lands in the fifth house just really makes me think that attempts at fun might be stymied. The next thing I want to tell you about is the sun changing signs. It starts out the month in Leo, of course, and then it moves on into Virgo, right about here around the 23rd. And this is really the signal that your mop-up period, Libra, is about to begin. When the sun enters your 12th house, as it does 30 days before your birthday on a yearly basis, and I know that your birthday isn't, going to exactly line up with August 23rd. It's not going to exactly be September 23rd. This horoscopes are always just a sort of a targeted towards the masses, if you will. But when the sun enters your 12th house on a yearly basis, it's time to take stock. It's time to fish or cut bait. Let go of some projects that you had been working on, perhaps if you think that they are not going to get to a resolution, and resolve the ones that you can. And so the mop-up period is all about that. And as the sun proceeds along through this house, it's always a good idea to bring the sunlight of your high quality attention wherever the sun goes. And this is the house of the unconscious. It's the house of spirit. It's a house of things that are generally hidden from view. And so as Julia was commenting before, when Mercury entered the 12th house, it's a really good time for spiritual types of activities, such as meditation or retreats. And you might find yourself, pulling inward, going a bit introverted, and just kind of taking stock of things. And that's a good way to spend this transit. So then the last thing I want to tell you about is, where's that new moon? Right here. And it's in 4 degrees of Libra. So this Virgo, this is the closest we're going to get to it. This one we're calling perfectionism with scattered actions. The perfectionism, of course, is the Virgo contribution. But then there's also this square to Mars in very distractible Gemini. Mars in Gemini just really reminds me of running around like a chicken with its head cut off, trying to do a little of this and a little of that, and just not staying very focused. So under this moon, if you have things that you're trying to do and you're really trying to get them perfect, it might be hard to focus, and you might have to work extra hard just to get your actions in line with your vision of perfection. And that's what we have for you today, Libra. You can always find your horoscope on our website, pandoraastrology.com, in the horoscope tab. And like I said, if you're interested in a reading, that birthday reading particularly, you can check the text that comes with this message. Julia or I would love to meet with you. And if you are interested to know more about this month's moons or other things that we've mentioned here, you can check our news feed on YouTube, pandoraastrology.com, and in the monthly playlist, you'll find these moons. And until next time, we'll see you around the cosmos. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.